Let us read Psalm 54. O God, save me by your name, and vindicate me by your might. O God, hear my prayer. Give ear to the words of my mouth. For strangers have risen against me. Ruthless men seek my life. They do not set God before themselves. Selah. Behold, God is my helper. The Lord is the upholder of my life. He will return the evil to my enemies. In your faithfulness, put an end to them. With a freewill offering, I will sacrifice to you. I will give thanks to your name, O Lord, for it is good. For he has delivered me from every trouble, and my eye has looked in triumph on my enemies. In the spring of 1940, during World War II, Allied forces found themselves trapped at Dunkirk, surrounded by advancing German troops. Almost 400,000 soldiers faced annihilation on the beaches of France, and escape seemed impossible. In desperation, the British government called for a national day of prayer. Churches across the UK were filled with people crying out to God for deliverance. What followed became known as the Miracle of Dunkirk. A massive evacuation codenamed Operation Dynamo was launched. Civilian boats, fishing vessels, and naval ships crossed the English Channel under a cloak of unexpected fog and unusually calm waters. Over 338,000 soldiers were rescued against all odds. It was as if God Himself had intervened. Many later said, it felt like the hand of heaven reached down to deliver them from the jaws of destruction. When we are cornered, when all escape routes are blocked, and we feel overwhelmed by forces greater than us, where do we turn? This is the situation that gave rise to Psalm 54. Surrounded, betrayed, and pursued, David lifts his eyes, not to the hills, not to his weapons, not to his men, but to God, and declares, God is my helper. The setting of Psalm 54 takes us back to one of the darkest chapters in David's life. The superscription tells us that this psalm was written when the Ziphites went to Saul and said, is not David hiding among us? Twice they betrayed David, first in 1 Samuel 23 and then again in 1 Samuel 26. Probably the psalm dates from the first event where David was hiding in the wilderness of Ziph, fleeing from the jealous and vengeful King Saul. The Ziphites weren't Philistines or foreign enemies. They were fellow Israelites, men from David's own tribe of Judah. He had done them no wrong, and yet, without provocation, they went to Saul and offered to turn David over to him. Whether envy or fear or ambition, the betrayal was a clear affront to God Himself, who had set Saul aside and chosen David to be his king. Saul's response is hypocritically religious. He who was seeking to kill God's anointed says piously to the Ziphites, may you be blessed by the Lord. Saul's religion had become an empty shell. Though he had long since stopped walking with God, he took his name in vain. True religion doesn't seek the death of the innocent or betray God's chosen. In contrast, David's words are rich in trust. In the face of danger, betrayal, and seemingly certain doom, he turns to prayer. Psalm 54 is not the cry of a man defeated, but the supplication of one who knows his God. O God, save me by your name and vindicate me by your might. The name of God is the rich kernel of his character. His faithfulness, his righteousness, his compassion, his covenant love, and the might of God acts on our behalf in goodness and power to save. David continues, O God, hear my prayer. Give ear to the words of my mouth. This cry from the heart belies any thought of a formal, well-rehearsed pattern of prayer. David is pouring out his soul to the only one who can help. For prayer is not about eloquence, but about honesty and faith in the goodness and faithfulness of Almighty God. In verse 3, David lays bare the situation. Strangers have risen against me. Ruthless men seek my life. They do not set God before themselves. The Ziphites acted not like his kin, but like strangers. In rejecting God's known purpose, they cast themselves out of their spiritual identity. They were ruthless, not because they had weapons, but in their disregard for God. They chose the favor of Saul over the fear of the Lord. But David declares boldly, Behold, God is my helper. The Lord is the upholder of my life. David's life has never been in the hands of any man, friend or foe. What does it matter who seeks his life when the Lord is the one who upholds it? God is his helper. This is not a passive role, for the word Ezer denotes one who actively comes to our aid, who steps in when we are in trouble and rescues us. God was not a distant observer, but an ever-present helper, committed to his deliverance and protection. And God brings about justice. He will return the evil to my enemies. In your faithfulness, put an end to them. Verse 5. David does not take revenge into his own hands. He does not need to. He entrusts it to God. Even when we are deeply wronged and the temptation to retaliate is strong, let us wait as David did. Let us trust God's timing and leave room for his justice. And so, David ends with a vow and a song. With a freewill offering, I will sacrifice to you. I will give thanks to your name, O Lord, for it is good. Verse 6. He looks ahead in faith to God's just reversal of his fortunes and those of his enemies. He does not want their ruin, but his own restoration. And in that day, he vows a freewill offering of praise and thanksgiving. David is still in danger. Saul is still on his trail, but David looks ahead. This is faith, trusting and thanking God while the battle still rages, resting in his goodness when the answer has not yet come. For he has delivered me from every trouble, and my eye has looked in triumph on my enemies. Verse 7. Even before the final rescue, David speaks as though it's already done. His past experience with God has taught him that deliverance is certain, even when it tarries. And sure enough, God intervenes again. Just as Saul is closing in, news comes of a Philistine attack. Saul turns back and David escapes. That spot is aptly named the Rock of Escape. Psalm 54 is not just ancient poetry. It's a life manual for those who feel trapped, betrayed, or abandoned. When we are surrounded by treachery from people we thought we could trust, let down by those close to us, the psalm reminds us that God is our helper, and he upholds our lives. When we are on the receiving end of injustice and there is no hope in sight, we are reminded that he works justice out for his people. Therefore, when we are under pressure, let us turn to prayer as our first response, not our last resort. Praying with honesty, let us strengthen our hearts in his character and faithfulness. Let us trust him in the midst of trouble and give thanks for his deliverance by offering him our loyal obedience and praise. Let us look ahead in faith, not just thanking him after the shouting has died down, but during the conflict. God often works behind the scenes in ways we can't see, like the fog at Dunkirk or the untimely Philistine attack that pulled Saul away. God can bring unexpected rescue at the perfect time. Despite apparent delay, He remains faithful and He is our helper. We too can lift our eyes to heaven and echo the words of David. Behold, God is my helper. The Lord is the upholder of my life. And that truth will sustain us even in the wilderness of betrayal. God bless.